I was a terror as a child. My mother passed away. My Aunt Becky and my Uncle Rich were 2 and 3 years older than me. They decided I need to go somewhere, and Maryville was the choice. Remember first pulling in, I see this big statue with the child underneath with the archangel. Sister Antonitis comes down, and she grabs my hand, and we go up these steps.
The first nun arrived to take my two sisters away after we had just agreed that the three of us were going to stick together. We left through a long hallway, just the nun and I, and the hallway seemed to go on forever.
Maryville is called the City of Youth, and a very appropriate name. They were self-sufficient in many ways. They had a bakery, a shoe repair shop, a farm.
There's cafeterias to eat in, and there's nuns acting as adult supervisors.
Then they let me loose. Walked out the door downstairs into the playground. I looked around, and then all of a sudden I hear, "New guy." And that was it. I got into 3 fights. So, after that, they left me alone.
I remember Sister Rita taking me up on her lap, and just to kind of comfort me. And that's all I remember of my first day.
We still refer to ourselves as orphans, but I think only a small percentage of kids at Maryville were actually orphans in the dictionary sense of the word, that your mother and father are dead.
We were all in the same boat. Okay, we all had the same stories to tell, so nobody cared about it. Nobody made fun of you because your mom was a drunk or your dad was an asshole or this or that. Nobody cared about that kind of stuff.
There wasn't a lot of nurturing or anything going on there. We had our friends, but the nuns, they didn't have a lot of experience in really babysitting 30 girls at a time.
When you have 30 kids sleeping all in one room and you got the nun's cubicle, you don't have that real contact. So like if something happened, you get hurt. You don't have somebody that comes and gives you a hug and holds you.
We always had this vision of life on the outside as being an ideal existence, Ozzie and Harriet type home scenario, the ideal, which would always be on our reach.
Going home for good. That phrase was known to all kids at Maryville. Going home for good meant improving your personal circumstances away from Maryville. I don't think my sisters and brother and I ever thought that situation would occur for us.
Cards we got dealt, we forgot about it, and we moved on.
We could have had the opportunity to just walk out, but this was your home. This is all you knew.
There were no guards preventing people from coming in or leaving. There were no fences. Anybody living at Maryville could have walked off the campus with ease any time in their lives.
Many times I've been thought about running away, but you know what? When you get in that angry mood, you're mad about something, then you realize, where the hell am I going to go?
This guy, Mike, he says, I'm getting tired of this place. He says, you want to go to Indiana? So we ended up taking off down Central Road, and then there was Rand Road. It was like maybe 2 blocks long, 3 blocks to get there, So we get there in the corner, and he says, here we are, we're in Indiana. I says, no shit, this is Indiana. Wow, what do we do now? He says, well, we've been to Indiana. Let's go back and tell everybody we went to Indiana, So we turn around, we go back. Of course, the teachers beat the crap out of us because we were like 2 hours late. I'll never forget this nun. She says, where were you? I says, well, Mike Lane took me to Indiana. And she cracks me in the face. You gotta laugh at these nuns,
It was a very open environment, and yet there were only a few cases where troubled kids ran away. And I believe it's because the support model used then, even though it was a large building with a lot of kids and few adults, it was an effective support model. There isn't a better example of someone embodying positive traits as an adult than Father Smith. He was an All-American basketball player at Notre Dame. and he was drafted by the St. Louis Hawks. He decided instead to enter the seminary, and following his ordination, I believe his first assignment was Maryville.
Father Smith came to Maryville around 1962. Maryville was in poor financial state at that time, and he was faced with how to raise money and support Maryville. And Cardinal Cody at the time thought that maybe Maryville should close. And Father Smith was very determined that Maryville was not going to close.
The changes you could start to see. He was very involved with the kids and so forth, involved in coaching football.
When I got here, I knew it was an assignment that I could enjoy and develop it. I had a tremendous amount of fight within the church because he said I wouldn't be able to do it because I couldn't afford it. And I said, you can't afford it if you do it right. And it wasn't easy.
Through the years, he really became an icon in raising funds. And each year we'd literally raise millions of dollars to support Maryville.
I believe education is extremely important. And I said that every boy and girl that comes to Maryville, if they want, and if they have the ability to go to college, we will send them to college or to trade school. And hundreds of kids went to college financed by Maryville. And I made it very, very open to them that you're getting this because, number one, you went to Maryville. And number two, I'm happy to support you so that you can develop your own life in whatever you want to do.
I remember I was short of money in college, and he just pulled money out of his pocket and gave me tuition money. And who does that? I mean, not only was he a priest, Father, but he was for me what a father, what a dad should be. And he just, I don't know how he did it with all of these kids. And I remember saying that to him when I was like out of college and say, how did you manage to make all these kids feel so special and so important? You know, it's his gift. It's just his gift.
He's like the guardian over you. He's like holding you in his arm and said, don't fear. We'll get you through this all. No matter where the child comes from, no matter what ethnic group he's from or she's from, I will accept that child and I will take care of that child.
Most priests moved on. He's the only one that never moved on.
Every time they want to move me, Maryville was in financial trouble. At least I portrayed it was in financial trouble because I didn't want to move. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved creating things for kids.
He's personifies what Catholicism is all about, giving and dedicating your life to others' welfare. You know, try to support Father Smith any way I can, as do all the alumni, because we believe in his mission and his purpose and his dedication.
I'm about to celebrate my 50th anniversary of my graduation from high school. And I went to a recent alumni event where Father Smith was in a receiving line. I haven't seen him for decades, and I didn't have to introduce myself. He knew my name, who I was, and he greeted me like a relative.
When I think back about what made Maryville Maryville, it was him. And he's the bond that I think keeps people together. And what was appropriate in the 50s is very different than what would be appropriate in the 80s. The problem that he had was, I think he probably took kids in later years that had different needs. They might not have been best placed there, but he would never say no to a kid.
You try and reach the ability of each kid. Sometimes you really hit a home run and you think you're great. Sometimes you do the best you can. There's times you blow it, there's no question. And I blew it, but I tried. And I think most of the people that I worked with here at Maryville said that we were just supporting the young men, girls that came through Maryville, and that we will give them anything we can.
The time we were out here, we kind of felt wronged in a sense. And it wasn't until later, after we left Maryville, that we realized how lucky we were.
There was structure in our life, and that was so important.
We were the lucky ones. We dodged bullets, because there was someone there to take care of us. They gave their lives for us.
There's no question Maryville has been a big part of my life as a priest, 45 years almost. Yeah, there's one thing I did learn when I saw so many tragedies come walking in the door, and each one was different. Some young men, women, came in and they had a terrible background, and they did a fantastic job, and they just sort of overlooked it. Some just couldn't overlook it, and they kept looking back and back. My one words of counsel were, don't look back. Don't blame your mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle. I don't care if you were abused, many of them were. I don't care if you were neglected, many of them were. I don't care if you were just out on the street, starving. Don't look back, because you're gonna walk yourself right into a wall. Turn around, look to your future. I admire the graduates of Maryville, how they have climbed that ladder and are successful, and look back and say, hey, I laugh at what happened before, it hurt, but I'm grabbing the ring above me and pulling myself up, and I am becoming a full, total man, woman, and I'm not looking back.
What can I tell you? He's like a big brother. No matter what I do, I just gotta call him, and he would drop what he was doing, and he would be here. And when he shows up at your house, it's like the Pope coming over, man.
I'm delighted to think and know that man has achieved a great deal of personal satisfaction by helping as many kids as he has over his lifetime.
We are what we are, and so much because of him.
To this day, I'm going to be 71 years old in a couple of weeks, and I'm still seeing the same kids that I went to Maryville with. These are the ones that since we were 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, man, It's a bond that you just don't break. You don't break that bond. It's as simple as that. There ain't anything I wouldn't do for any of them.
Maryville was my home. It is my home. We could say we got over 1,000 brothers and sisters, and that's what Maryville was all about.